Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Madam Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, congratulations on your reelection. I know on some days maybe condolences would be a better word, but congratulations. It's great to be back in the People's House, to see friends and colleagues, and to meet the new Assembly class of 2025, and to once again begin our work in a new legislative session. You know, every time I return to chambers, and the Majority Leader can say, and the Speaker can say, we've done this a few years, there's always some excitement and optimism as you begin the session. And I hope this optimism that we feel today can extend throughout this year, and that we can work together to address the concerns of our constituents. Mr. Speaker, Madam Majority Leader, I look forward to continuing to work with you again this session. While we have different perspectives on public policy, we've always had a productive, professional working relationship built on respect, and that helps, I think, all of us here in this chamber, and it certainly helps the People's House run day to day. As you said, Madam Majority Leader, a key part of that day to day is our new floor leader, Mary Beth Walsh. So again, let's congratulate Mary Beth on her position. I think Mary Beth is one of the most respected members of this House, and I admire her abilities and know that she's a perfect fit for this role. And I also want to say congratulations to Jarrett Gandolfo, who will be sitting second seat. Please join me in congratulating him. So I'm excited for this new team and the opportunities that lay ahead. Mr. Speaker, I'd be remiss if I didn't publicly say what an honor it is for me to lead the Assembly Republican Conference and work alongside such a distinguished group of public servants. You know, whether it's here in the chambers or working in their districts, the Assembly Republican bring to this job an unrivaled work ethic and unwavering commitment to helping constituents. So I want to thank each and every member for electing me your leader. Thank you. It's a real honor. My colleagues, as far as public policy, as you all heard over the last few days, the governor unveiled parts of her State of State address, and interestingly, looks very, very similar to a lot of the Assembly Republican proposals. For example, expanding the Empire State Child Tax Credit. That was an Ed Robb bill, blocked by the Assembly Ways and Means Committee last year. There's another one, creating a database of substitute teachers. That was a Matt Slater bill, blocked in Children's and Families Committee in 2023. How about establishing a construction fund to build more daycare centers? Last year, this conference, we called for increased construction capital to accomplish the same thing. Unfortunately, that didn't come about. Assembly Republicans were always willing to work collaboratively and share credit, and I hope the majority sees these proposals in a new light, in light of the fact that the governor has now joined with us on them. In addition, I'll make this offer. If the governor needs any more help before her State of the State next week, the members of the Republican Conference have many, many great ideas. Mr. Speaker, you mentioned this. I think we all know this. Affordability has plagued New York for too many years, and I'm very happy that the governor has finally recognized this fact. I hope, however, that the goal of putting money back in the people's pockets isn't damage control after the state launched congestion pricing. Hope springs eternal. Now, we have many different opinions on how to exactly lower the cost of living, but I will say this, it needs to be the goal of every member in the legislature to lower that cost. And the reason being, since 2020, New York has lost 630,000 residents. This outmigration, every year I stand here and ask, what are we doing about it? And then when those population figures come back in, the answer is obviously not enough. New York's the national leader of driving residents away, and that needs to be changed. Affordability strikes at the core of that issue. Now, there are other priorities that need to be addressed also. Incoming revenues, good news, are higher than projected, which means tax increases of any kind should be off the table. We need a sustainable state budget to continue down the path that increased state spending by more than $60 billion in the last 5 years, that's not only unsustainable, it's irresponsible. It's time to wake up and bring back the mask ban. In fact, it's way past the time. We aren't in a pandemic anymore, and allowing masking no longer makes sense. Now, as everyone's heard, tragically, an illegal immigrant recently killed a woman by setting fire to her on the subway. What's it going to take? What is it going to take before we restore policy that had been in place for decades and allow local agencies to cooperate with federal immigration authorities? And finally, we need a serious conversation about environmental regulation and emission targets that have no possibility of working. It becomes more clear every day that the mandates and timeliness contained in the New York's Climate Act are not only unworkable, they're unattainable, and they're unaffordable. It's time to face that reality, my colleagues, and assess what needs to be changed. So, my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, over the course of the coming months, our conference will introduce more proposals that address the quality of life in New York. Measures that, one, improve public safety, strengthen our schools, bolster our capacity of our healthcare system, improve the state's infrastructure, support our rural communities, enable the agricultural industry to prosper, and institute a higher level of transparency and public insight into state government. There are plenty, and I'll repeat, there are plenty of common sense initiatives that we can work together to help the 20 million New Yorkers. I'm excited, Mr. Speaker, and my colleagues, to move those initiatives forward. Thank you again for letting me address this body, and a happy 2025 to all the members and staff of this great institution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.